Hey guys, welcome back to 100% Mag. So, of course, this is my reaction to my Premier League predictions video that I did at the start of the season, and we're going to see how many I got right this year. I don't think I got that many right this year. It has been a bit of a difficult season to try and predict, and of course, I did do these predictions well before the season started on the 28th of July. I did the predictions, of course, for where I think teams were going to finish this season. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting off with the teams that I picked for relegation. We'll start off with 20th place, which I predicted Everton to finish in 20th place in the league. Of course, they ended up surviving just outside the relegation zone in 17th place. So obviously I got that one wrong. Moving on to the team that I predicted in 19th place, which was Bournemouth. Of course, they ended up finishing 15th in the league. So again, I got that one wrong. Moving on to 18th place, where I predicted Fulham to finish there. And of course, they ended up finishing right the way up in 10th place in the league. So I definitely got that one wrong. And then the team I predicted in at 17th place was Leicester City. Of course, they ended up being just one place off where I predicted them, but it was, of course, one place in the wrong direction for Leicester City fans, as they ended up seeing themselves relegated to the Championship, as they ended up finishing 18th instead of the 17th that I had predicted them to finish. Moving on to 16th now. In this one, I feel really bad. I do apologise to any Brighton fans for this prediction, but like I say, I did predict this on the 18th of July before the season started, so I wasn't too sure on how Brighton were going to perform in the Premier League, and I wasn't too sure on their signings neither going into the Premier League. So I predicted Brighton to finish 16th in the league, and of course they ended up finishing well above that, 10 places above that in, of course, 6th place in the league, in getting themselves into Europe for the season coming. Into 15th now, and I predicted here Brentford, of course, to finish 15th in the league, and of course they ended up finishing 9th in the league. 14th place, I predicted Aston Villa, again another team that has exceeded expectations. I thought they would have had a bit of a troubling season, but they have managed to find themselves 7th place above where I predicted them, and getting themselves into a European Conference League as well. So congratulations to them on finishing in a European place for the coming season. On to 13th place, where I predicted Leeds United, and of course they ended up having a pretty bad season. Quite a few manager changes throughout the season as well, with them ending up having Sam Allardyce at the end of the campaign and seeing them go down in 19th place in the league. So I got that one wrong as well, but I'm sure Leeds fans would have hoped, that my prediction was better than theirs because of where they finished in the league. But moving on to 13th place, we've got Southampton. In 12th place, we've got Southampton. And of course, they ended up finishing 20th in the league. So again, Southampton fans, I'm sure, would have appreciated finishing in 12th instead of down in 20th and seeing themselves go down to the Championship. On to 11th place now, and I predict Nottingham Forest here. Of course, they ended up finishing in 16th place in the league. Wolves, I predicted 10th place. They ended up finishing 13th place, so I wasn't that far off. Only 3 places off, of course, where Wolves finished in the league. And Palace, I predicted 9th place in the league. They finished 11th in the league, so again, not that far off my prediction for where Palace would finish in the league this season. Man United, I predicted 8th place. The reason I predicted 8th place for Man United, of course, they ended up finishing 3rd in the league. But the reason I predicted at the time Man United to finish 8th place is because of Ten Hag coming in. I thought it would take them a little bit of time to get things sorted out, and they have had a bit of a bad run. They did through the first half of the season. Then after that World Cup, they came back into the game, and obviously they got some favourable decisions along the way. But they had the wins against teams, down in that relegation area, and that kind of helped them get into that third place finish. In my eyes, they shouldn't have really finished in third place. It should have been around about the fourth place finish, probably for Man United. But hey ho, they finished in third place, and my prediction was for them to finish in eighth. So again, I got that one wrong. Moving on to seventh. Again, this one you do have to forgive us for this one. Again, I just didn't see this team doing too well going into the season, especially after the way they played in the previous season. But I predicted Arsenal to finish in seventh place, and yes, that is a pretty bad prediction when you consider what they did this season. Well, truly above my expectations of what I thought Arsenal would do this season. They've had a pretty good season, I've got to say. And of course, they ended up finishing second place in the league. They had a chance to win the league, but they did end up bottling it, and of course, not winning the league. And in a way, it's always tough when you're going up against Manchester City, because they are compulsive winners. They know what they're doing. They know how to go out there and win trophies. They are the team to beat. And Arsenal just had a really tough task to go up against a team of that calibre. But I predicted seventh place for Arsenal. They finished second, so I got that one wrong as well. Sixth place, I predicted West Ham. And of course, they ended up finishing in 14th place. But they still do have a chance of getting European football next season if they do win the Euro Conference League final coming up. If they win that, then they are in the Europa League for the coming season. Moving on to where I predicted in fifth, and that was, of course, my team, Newcastle United. Very, very close on this one. Only one place above where I predicted Newcastle to finish, and I predicted Newcastle to finish in fifth, because I really did believe that we would have an absolutely fantastic season, and we did. We had an absolutely amazing season, so much of an amazing season that they exceeded my expectations of what I set out for Newcastle this season. I was saying fifth, and we've ended up finishing in fourth. Could have even finished in third. So that just is an absolutely amazing achievement by Eddie Howe and the lads for the way they have performed this season, and hopefully, we'll see a similar performance next season. Maybe even, see ourselves win a cup next season as well would be nice. But we do have that European football in the Champions League, so we're going to have to, do our best in that, and I think we will do really well in that. But moving on from, of course, Newcastle, moving on to fourth place. And this is where I predicted Spurs to finish in the league. Of course, 4 places off, where I predicted them to finish. Tottenham ended up finishing, of course, in 8th. So it was 4 places down from where I predicted them to finish in 4th place. And in 3rd place, I predicted Chelsea. And of course, Chelsea has just had an absolutely disgusting season. They've spent well over 600 million on players, and they have been absolutely abysmal. Just disgusting football, finishing in 12th place. Even at one point, they could have went down as far as 14th place in the league. It's absolutely disgusting football from Chelsea, and especially, when they've spent that kind of money. But, I was kind of expecting it in a way, but I was thinking as well, on the other hand, what Chelsea's like, what these teams are usually like. They spend a lot of money. Sometimes it works out for them, and unfortunately this time for Chelsea and Chelsea fans, it hasn't worked out for them. So they're not going to be in the Champions League next season. They're not even going to be in Europe next season. That could bode well for them, but it could be a bad thing as well, with of course, how much money they've spent in the transfer window in this season just gone. So they are going to have somewhat of a fire sale going into this coming season. But I did predict Chelsea for that season just gone there in third place. Of course, they ended up finishing in 12th. Then, of course, the obvious culprits for the top two spots. I predicted Liverpool in second place, and of course, they ended up fifth in the league. Like I said in my prediction video, they brought in Darwin Núñez for Sadio Mane, and of course, I've got to say, Darwin Núñez did exactly what I said he wouldn't do. He went into this season and he did not perform to the way Liverpool fans were hoping he would. He turned out to be okay, but he wasn't to the level that Liverpool fans thought he was going to be. I'm sure Liverpool fans, and I've seen quite a few of them when I was making my predictions, were saying that he was going to be Haaland-esque player, and obviously we all know, by the way that season ended, that Darwin Núñez was nowhere near that level, but he was still a pretty good player, just not, that kind of player to be able to bang in the goals as consistently as Haaland did at Manchester City. I mean, Haaland was an absolute beast, but we'll get on to him in a moment. We predicted, of course, Liverpool to finish second place in the league, and they ended up finishing in fifth place in the league. So they still got Europe, just not Champions League football. So they will be playing in the Europa League next season, or this season coming. Moving on to first, and of course, it is Manchester City. Man City finished first. I predicted them to finish first, and it's kind of a lazy prediction, I know, because at the end of the day, they are the team to beat, and they will remain the team to beat until somebody comes along who is got the ability to beat them. It looked like at one point during this season, or quite a few points during this season, that Arsenal were going to be that team to beat them this season. But as with Man City, they're consistent, they go in there, they perform in the games week after week. Pep Guardiola is a serial winner. He knows what he's doing. He did it at Barcelona, he did it at Bayern Munich, and he's doing it at Manchester City, and he is continuing to do it at Man City as well. They're on for a treble this season. They've done the first part of it. They've won the league title. That is the third league title in a row as well, so that's the first time that anybody in the Premier League's history has won 3 Premier League titles in a row. Man United came close a while back on quite a few occasions when they won 2 in a row, but they never got that third. And Man City's won 3 in a row, so they're the first team to ever do it in the history of the Premier League, which is quite an impressive feat when you consider, the competitiveness of the league and how, much talent is in the league as well. But Man City, what a fantastic season. It is expected at the end of the day. In Haaland, he was absolutely amazing to watch this season. What a player. And he's, there was a lot of people saying that he wouldn't hit the ground running. Rory Jennings, for one, said that he wouldn't score a lot of goals and he would be a flop. And he ended up with egg on his face massively because Haaland was absolutely sensational this season. Just banging in goals for fun for Man City. Hat-tricks. In the first part of the season, he was just getting hat-tricks for fun. Of course, then it started to slow down a little bit, but he was still bagging at least 1 to 2 goals in a match. So that just shows how prolific of a goal scorer he was this season just gone. And of course, he's going to have to be watched out for next season because he is an absolute beast. It was always a given, that Haaland would be fantastic and fitted to the Premier League because of the build of the guy. He's just built for the Premier League, and what a fantastic player, Man City's gotten there. What a great talent, and he's definitely one that we're going to have to keep an eye on in the seasons ahead, of course, for however long you stay in the Premier League. But that's been my reaction to my Premier League predictions for the season just gone, the 22-23 season. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below on my predictions there. And of course, let us know what you've predicted down in the comments below as well. If you can, please hit a like on the video, as it does help the channel to grow and it does show support to the content that I put out. And also, if you could subscribe to the channel as well, as I'm on the road to 2K subscribers, trying to reach that before, of course, the next month. That would be absolutely amazing. And until next time, I'll see you all later, and however lads.